Special meeting to order. First item of business, please if you would stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. On our flag, I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Councilors, welcome, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules, all of you. I know everyone appreciates your attention to this. Our first and only item here, active agenda, is Resolution 2023-6, declaring that an emergency exists and that the public interest and necessity demands the immediate expenditure of public money without compliance with formal bidding procedures. So it's pretty much self-explanatory, but I'm going to ask if Director Johnson would address the council and give you some more background information on why this resolution is needed and why your support is being asked today for Resolution 2023-6. So Director Johnson, if you'd please introduce yourself for the record and remember to speak up clearly and loudly. We have a couple of folks maybe listening in, and maybe those others at home would like to hear what you have to say. Very important. Director Johnson.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, City Council. My name is Dustin Johnson, Public Works Director for the City of Lewiston. As the Mayor kind of already outlined, I'm going to have to give you a little context as to why this resolution is necessary, and then kind of give you a little glimpse. There's where we're going to hopefully go from after we adopt this resolution and make the repairs that are necessary. As I'm sure you all are aware, I believe that was Tuesday morning, there was an incident at our high reservoir where we had a rupture within that reservoir. I can tell you what I know, and I can tell you what we don't know at this time. We know we lost approximately 3.3 million gallons out of what would be the northwest wall. It is a rectangular shaped reservoir. The reservoir was built in the 20s, probably I think it was 1928. Not to say that it hasn't changed in whatever that is, almost 100 years. There's been significant modifications at that site, including built up concrete walls, a roof, and obviously upgraded pumps and any necessary equipment that comes with operating a modern water system. We had staff on the ground when the event occurred, so we are obviously going through the records. We're going through what they witnessed firsthand when it ruptured, and trying to understand better what happened. That is one component of what is going on. The second component is trying to get the City of Lewiston out of a boil water order. Sorry, you don't want to do this when you're a Public Works Director, so get a little choked up, which I don't know why. Probably not much sleep going on. So we're trying to mitigate what is happening on there with our water system. So the water system essentially feeds out of that reservoir, and so when that rupture occurred, the water system is now exposed to the atmosphere, and so that is why the requirement from the DEQ is that we have a boil water order. I can tell you as a side note that we'll be releasing here at the end of this meeting, we have been able to isolate everything south of this system from that reservoir. So we will be lifting the boil water order from anybody basically south of the reservoir. So we will be providing maps and a better outline of what that looks like for everybody out there as we roll this out here in the next hour. So that is the good news, is we've been able to manually adjust what we have in our system as far as the valves and get those customers isolated off of that reservoir. So that's the course that we're going. This resolution in front of you today is only to put in the infrastructure to mitigate. We have to isolate that reservoir, and so we have to get equipment in the ground that we are prepping as we speak right now. We have been prepping since the incident occurred to get this reservoir isolated. What is the City of Lewiston has historically always pumped water into these reservoirs and then fed the system down gradient. Now we are basically trying to break that pattern to isolate that reservoir. So our system was not designed to do that, and that is why we're doing, making these modifications now. So once we can isolate the reservoir, we can lift that boil order. But as long as it is exposed as it is today, any customers who are served by that reservoir, we will need to continue that boil order. There are at least 3 steps we are progressing through to get this, where we have engineers from here to Seattle working on this, on the ground here, running models to see what we can do, because we can't just not isolate the reservoir. We have to keep adequate fire pressure and water pressure for everybody within the city. So I'm not comfortable giving you a time frame of when that could occur. I know people want to know when they can stop boiling water. It could be a matter of days, but I can't tell you for certain until we check down the list of how things are progressing. So we are doing our best to keep the public informed as things occur. And so today is the first step where we are able to isolate the south half of the system. Obviously, anybody in the Lloyd, they are not affected by this boil order. So this should clean it up a little bit. As far as specific with this resolution, this will allow us expediency on procuring the materials, labor, whatever we need to get this corrections into our system put in. Obviously, once we can get past the boil order and get a better understanding of the condition of the reservoir and how that will impact the rest of our system, I will obviously be coming back to you with updates and modifications to our work plans, our capital plans, operations, and everything. But for today, our focus is to secure the site and remove the boil order. So I guess that is all I have to report as of right now. I'm here for questions if anybody has any.
Councilors, if you have questions, please just ask your questions. No need to go to the chair today. Let's just have a discussion.
Okay, just a couple. So, when's the new reservoir coming online?
That not till the spring, and that is a
Okay.
different zone. So again,
I
we
thought that fed down to the high reservoir.
in a way,
way.
but not. It won't provide an immediate impact.
Okay. What about, we have an intertie with Lloyd up there at approximately 10th and Warren.
Yeah,
Is that something we can use?
no, we have plenty of water capacity with the new well.
Mhm.
We have plenty of water. It's storage capacity that we now are hurting for,
Okay,
and that's what drives fire flow.
gotcha. Thank you.
Well, I commend your team. This is a very unique situation, and I'm sure it's stressful for all involved. And so, and combating and keeping the community as informed as possible. So I definitely give your team kudos for dealing with this.
We appreciate it. It's usually the circus goes on behind the curtain as we try to not impact private residents.
Right.
What's unfortunate is, obviously a lot of people were impacted, not just with the boil order, but with the water that came down at that release. And so I have personally met with a few folks and have heard some pretty scary stories, and this is not something I ever thought I would have to deal with, but here we are. And so we want to make sure that we can take care of all of our customers, anybody that was impacted. But it is a process. We are in the beginning of a marathon in addressing immediate concerns, and then we will work our way through. We will be feeling this for many, many, many years.
So Dustin, the roof is still on it, but the exposure is just that end that blew out?
Yeah, the engineers did a complete evaluation of it today. There are other areas of scour. I again don't know the details. The exposure is on that would be the northwest wall, but there were other areas of scour that they found in their evaluation that the water was overcoming, and I don't know why. So those are all the details. I wanted to be able to come to you and say this is what happened. I can tell you, looking at our facility plans, our inspections reports, there is no signs of negligence. There's no signs of anybody tampering with the system or not doing what they were supposed to be doing. We monitor I mean, all of our system is monitored remotely. We have hundreds, if not thousands, of valves and pumps and levers that operate the water system, the wastewater system, even our street signals. And so, well, these are all automated that we can modify either from an iPad or from a control center. And so we have that, and those were all in place. And so I don't know what happened. So that's where we're digging in right now. But if somebody wants to say this was a negligence by the city that has been leaking for years, or we were sweeping something under the rug, that is just completely false. That there's nothing further from the truth, that there was something identified that was deficient in this reservoir. I read through the facility plan this morning. It says this reservoir is good. It was planned to be part of the new system that we're upgrading now. So there's rumors out there that there's something going on. That is not the case.
Director, could you also just remind the councilors the spending limit on this and why we chose that? Because we're talking about a lot of things, different things in the system here, but I think the public, important for them and the public to understand specifically what we're requesting.
Specifically, we're asking just for a $200,000 cap, and that does not even touch the repairs to the reservoir or addressing the reservoir. That is essentially any of these valves or pressure reducing valves that we need to reverse the flow. Those are essentially $25,000 a piece. And so what we're trying to do is cut enough straws into the lower system to feed from the new wells to feed into the lower system, so we can isolate that reservoir. And so they're at $25,000 a pop, and we don't know how many we need. We're running models right now. We're currently estimating 3 new valves or PRVs, but it may be 4. And so, we want a comfortable cap that makes you feel comfortable that I'm not expecting to spend $200,000, but if we start running the models and we come up with new ideas of how we can get more straws into the system, we don't want to come back to you again on Monday and say, hey, we need another 100,000 or whatever. So that's the estimate. Is when you start incrementally adding them up at $25,000 a piece, $200,000 was about where we landed.
Is that labor and materials?
Most labor will be in-house, but it could include if we need to expedite stuff with equipment that we don't have available. But the current expectation is we would do this all in-house.
And,
So, Mayor, sorry. I can wait if you've got some, Kathy.
no, you're fine, go ahead.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around that figure seems very low in the overall scheme of things. And so when we declare this emergency, is this bringing us up to, or putting us in a position that we can go to higher government authorities like the state and feds to come in and assist us in any part of this process?
Yeah,
or is it on us?
those figures are separate. So this $200,000 figure is only to get us working towards lifting the boil order. Once we can do that, I mean, we are tracking costs separately from we're tracking all of the costs and itemizing them where they fall. This emergency resolution allows us to procure, if we get a certain part that exceeds our ability for purchasing, I can't wait to come back to you. So this allows me to do that, me or the mayor to do that. But yes, all of the other costs that we are incurring right now are being tracked separately, which will be a much bigger figure.
I guess my only concern is as long as you're comfortable with that, I'm assuming that we can address it if we need to on Monday night's meeting with an amendment to the agenda, but I want to make sure that you have all the resources that you need to make sure that we're, we want to, obviously the boil order needs to come off as quickly as possible, and so not very often will you hear, are you sure you're getting enough? But that's That's my question right now.
I guess, to bluntly say, $200,000 should get me through the weekend.
Expensive date.
Well, I appreciate your honesty. I mean, this is not something any of us thought would be year number 2 of new government, and we've got to figure out how to navigate it. So I'm in full support of the declaration, and obviously I spent some time early this morning reading the water facilities report, and I would, I'm glad that you said that, we've been told by numerous people that reservoirs we're in good shape, but the other concern I have is that it's not the only one built in 1924. So I think that this body needs to look at, if it's inexplicable that we can't get to an answer of why this happened, we need to look at the other ones that's old and really look at how we're prioritizing our spending, because once is tragic, twice is, we probably could have prevented it. So I think that's my thought process right now.
Just as to follow up on that point, we did, so there's the high reservoir, which is the one we're speaking of right now, then there's the low reservoir, and they were built about the same time. We did inspect the low reservoir this morning, so again, nothing was identified, but again, we still don't know exactly how or why the failure of the high reservoir, but we have gone through and are inspecting all of our other reservoirs just to check. I mean, they were built very similar style, so that was the first thing we did.
Great work.
Just to be clear, we're pulling this from the actual public works, like budget, where we're going out of the
At this point, I am not clear where the
water fund.
Counselor,
Water
Director, we're gonna have to speak up because of the system.
Oh, sorry. I was asking where the funds were being pulled from the water fund, so just to clarify that, to ensure that's going to hurt on future projects that we.
It will require changes to what we were planning on doing. Obviously, we are already committed to the projects that are under construction now, but this shifts our priorities of what we plan to do. But it does not diminish the projects that we were already planning. They were planning for a reason, and water systems are designed and built to last 100 to 150 years, and we're now at that point. So when you're looking at 100-year assets, which one's more valuable? And so we will be back. I don't have any answers. This is something that we will start looking at in the next couple months. Once we have kind of gotten things stabilized now, we will start looking at what's it look like in next month. What's it look like in the summer when we have irrigation? What's it, we need to start forecasting out, and I'm not even going to forecast out what it looks like right now because we haven't even started looking at it. I don't even know what's salvageable up there right now.
That was going to be our next question. So I'm assuming you're going to bring structural engineers in and
Structural.
see if it's salvageable or not.
Yeah.
And that would be, I guess that would be the big money ticket. You can salvage it, great. Can't. I think the last, that I'm aware of, the last big renovation was Keniston in 2000 and something. I was running a man list down there.
That was the roof.
That was the lid, but they also drained it and they put a new epoxy coating on the inside at the same time. But that was, 20 years ago. When you're dealing with an old building like that, it's hard to say, so. But yeah, replacement would be expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be nice if we could save it.
Well, I'm really proud of your team and how they've been working and staying calm and keeping that helps too. Let me stay calm, but great job. And I'm also in favor of considering if you feel that you need something more than the $200,000 at this point in time, I'm willing to go there. I think that you need to have the money to do what you need to do.
I hate to say thank you, but I think we're fine, but I'm, the boots on the ground right now have not told me that there was any concern about it, but if for your own purposes and want to feel that you want to amend it, I'm amenable. I don't see, you know, we're a lot of it is when when we're doing work like this, we're not just shopping for prices, we're shopping for availability. If
Right.
somebody's got it in Cincinnati, we'll get it in Boise before, even if we're saving, you know, price is one thing, but time is of the more essence. So,
Yeah.
you know, I guess I will leave it up to the council. 200 is what we thought was available. I hate to be the person that would come back on Monday and say, well, we were short 100,000.
You don't have to worry about being sorry.
You don't be sorry. You're doing your job and you're doing it very well. So what has to be done has to be done. So don't be sorry. If we do this now at this amount and you find on Monday, you can do it.
Yeah.
Another special session if we need to.
Yeah.
Kind of like when the wastewater treatment plant blew up back in 2000.
What was it, 4, 3?
No, that was on council, that was 2008 or 2009. Of course, not as big an effect on neighborhoods, because it's across the river.
Yeah, we want.
That was a
It
huge
bounced
event.
our
I mean,
windows.
somebody got seriously hurt over there, and, I mean, the doors were blowing out the building, they went 70 flipping yards out through the air. I mean, it's, again, a thing you can't plan for.
Mhm.
So, yeah, whatever you need, Dustin, I'm all aboard.
Yeah, I think we're good with 200,000. We, as I said, with lifting that boil order, we're ticking through the list. The work that we've done, you know, meticulously itemizing priorities and getting, you know, the samples that we're running, you know, we're taking these samples, running them to the lab. Everything has come back clean. The stuff that we're finding out in the field, it's been encouraging. It's a lot of, like I said, we did not plan to have the system run like this. And so when we have to go back and we have to run models and see, is there adequate pressure? If there isn't, how can we get it into the system? So a lot of it is just behind the scenes. The hardware itself, $25,000 a pop sounds expensive, but it is not reservoir money. So at 200,000, we're good. If there's any overages, we'll update the council on Monday, or if we find that something is not going according to plan, we can update the council on Monday.
Okay, but just to follow up, so from your testing, are you testing of individual houses or just samples from?
I'm not sure. It's dictated by the DEQ, Department of Environmental Quality, of how we take the samples and
But
handle it.
things so far still look okay.
Yeah, which is why they allowed us to lift the boil order for the would be the south half of town. So, and we knew it would. I mean, I'd say confidently as a water operator that, you know, the exposure is so small. It's just at that reservoir. We never lost pressure in the system. You know, if we had lost pressure in the system, you would have, you know, it would be, you know,
Yeah, backflow.
vacuum in there. So that we're very fortunate that didn't happen.
Do you have any advice for people who have been doing water boil and everything else? They have water in their pipes. Should they run water a while? You think you're okay?
This is, you know, a precautionary measure, and I'm not in a situation where I can say it's, you know, of course, we're the area that has been cleared by DEQ that it is safe. I can't give them, you know, medical advice or anything else, and that, you know, there is a reason why it is required that it is a boil order. From my standpoint, I can even say that it is a low risk, but is a precautionary requirement by the state. And we will abide by that and respect that. And so the water is safe to wash your hands and bathe in. You know, any of those it's just you can't consume it at this point without the boil.
Councilors, I'm going to bring us back to the business at hand. Resolution 2023-6. You have that before you.
I'll make a motion
Councilor Kleber?
to approve resolution 2023-6.
Second.
Okay, it's been
My three people.
moved by Councilor Kleber and seconded by the rest of the council, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
There we
To
go.
approve resolution 2023-6. Is there further discussion related to the resolution itself?
No. and get on and do work.
Okay.
Back at it.
Clerk Rocky, if you'd call the roll, please.
Council President Lipke,
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder,
Aye.
Councilor Towsley,
Aye.
Councilor Kleber,
Aye.
Councilor Spicklemeyer,
Aye.
Councilor Forsman.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you, councilors. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Schroeder, second by Councilor Townsley to adjourn. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you, councilors.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Lee.